To Live at Urban Wild. Today is still Sunday, March 26th, 2023, and I'm only back on the camera because I want to show, first of all, here's a cat that I'm not sure if I've seen before, because it looks like one that I've seen that has infections in its eyes, but it seems to have lost one eye, its left eye, and it seems to be blind in the other one. I noticed it, I discovered it when I was coming to look at the food piles that we leave behind, see how they're doing. It was eating from this one. So besides the fact that this is the purpose of me coming around, is to see if there's any leftovers. Because leftovers are a mixed blessing. Leftovers on one hand means that we did a good job in feeding the cats to the point where they felt satisfied enough to leave some behind. Hopefully this one's going back to its safe place. I believe it probably lives in this yard here, because this is where we know there's someone who takes good care of a lot of animals, including cats and dogs. But back to the discussion of the food, why it's a mixed blessing. So obviously, for the cat's perspective, it's a blessing because it shows that there's more than enough food, that they feel the abundance mentality, that they're comfortable enough with leaving food behind. But it creates an issue with other people, with humans. Here's an entire food dish left complete and untouched. Again, abundance mentality. So the issue is that we've had humans complaining about the fact that children end up eating this food, and that's a problem. Now, that's a problem on so many different levels. Personally, I don't consider it to be my fault or responsibility, but I do understand how people who don't know any better would shift the blame and shift the focus and shift the discussion. So what I do is I come here now and I redistribute the food in many different ways and for many different purposes, not the least of which for it to be not in the normal reach of children. So people shouldn't come and tell me that their children come and eat the food that I leave over, which is why I shouldn't feed the cats. And yes, I've heard this discussion. This is not an affluent neighborhood, so you can't blame people for the situations that they're in necessarily. When people are living in such scarcity mentality, and for one reason or another, that people might actually come to eat the food. And if they need it that badly, if it's good enough for the cats, it should be good enough for humans, although it's not really the point. That's not necessarily the case, because humans and cats don't require the same nutrition. The point being, though, is that's what we do now. So I was showing the blind cat, I'm showing the leftovers here. These are the last few buckets that we have left with the remainders of the food in here. We have food left on the wall here that when I come back and redistribute it, also shows the cats, brings it to their attention. As you can see, they're eating. Here's Limpy, here's a food pile that they don't know about. So what I do usually is I come, hello, that's Limpy, hoping that by being here it'll bring the attention to the cats who want to eat from the unfinished pile. This is Limpy, our regal mascot. Always has the bent front right paw. No, left paw, sorry, it keeps moving so much I can't keep track. There's Aphrodite running around. Again, here's a food pile. There we go. Got Fluffy to recognize the sorry, Fuzzy, not Fluffy, Fuzzy to recognize the food pile. We don't want it to go to waste. It never does go to waste, but it depends on who we're focused on. If we're focused on all living things, it never goes to waste. If we're focused on just the cats, then yes, a lot does go to waste. But then there's birds and other things that come to eat the leftovers, and it keeps this ecosystem going. On that happy note, I'm going to wrap things up now that I finally have the last few buckets distributed and emptied, and I brought the attention to that cat, to the people of the cat that seems to be blind. This is also part of our own alibi, I shouldn't say alibi, but our own documentary. We're documenting everything, so that if and when people do come to either praise or adversely to complain, we can show exactly what we do and what we don't do. For example, the fact that I can consistently prove which food I bring, the shape, etc., it allows me to defend myself when there's other food that's the culprit for causing problems, for example. And I'm rambling a little bit, but it's time for me to sign off. Here's the local city cleaning crew that now takes care of this area that didn't before. Some of our constituents, infinite love and gratitude.